Welcome, everyone, to Wizards and Warp Drives, the podcast where three grown ass men get deeply nerdy about the things they love. My name is Nacho, and joining me, as per usual, is Fred from How to RPG and the mighty glue stick himself, Mr. AJ Pickett.
I don't think you've ever actually seen my ass, Nacho. How do you know it's grown? I might have a baby ass.
Your ass? Are we talking about asses? I can tell you that mine is hairy, but that's not.
Well,
but we're not here to do
smooth
talk
as a
about that.
watermelon.
We're here to talk about Star Wars.
That's right. Yeah.
The Skeleton Crew, right?
That's no ass, that's a moon.
Talking.
We are going to talk about the Skeleton Crew, which is a Star Wars show that we actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
For once. So it's been a long time.
It has been a long time. It's one of those. Disney Plus makes shite. It really does. It makes mediocre stuff and shite, and it makes really expensive shite and mediocre stuff too.
Snow White. Yeah.
Well, that's a movie. You know what I mean? That's a movie. But
Yeah.
TV series, I actually wish they would just put up all their old series, and movies that they had on Disney Plus. I know it take up space, but I wish they'd just do that because they had a lot of really cool stuff. It's older, of course. They don't make anything very good nowadays, apart from, Skeleton Crew is pretty solid. It really is.
The reign of Kathleen Kennedy has come to an end. She has stepped down as head of Star Wars. I don't think they've announced. I've heard rumors that Kevin Feige from Marvel might be making the transition to Star Wars. I don't know, but he's been a bit mediocre of late as well. The Kathleen Kennedy era has come to an end. So that, I guess, kicked off with The Force Awakens and has been bookended now by the Skeleton Crew. And it's been a very inconsistent hit and miss.
Yeah. I would have to say that I disagree that they haven't made good series because Andor was definitely a standout watch for me that year.
Yeah, but I mean, generally, I guess blanket, they've never made a good TV series, but generally their TV series are pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
Or they're very poor quality.
For a studio with such a well-established setting and such a well-established, genre of its own, really, I don't know why they just don't play into it as hard as possible all the time, because we know what we want in Star Wars. We want gritty, sort of realistic, a working empire. Apart from the Force and everything, it's set in another galaxy and it's got its own rules. It's got its own laws of physics. Space isn't the same. Sound travels through space in Star Wars. We know that when they're sitting down on the planet and a Star Destroyer arrives and you hear the boom. I mean, it's in space, so they've leaned into the fact that it's got different physics there. Princess Leia floating through space, she didn't explosively decompress, for instance.
Please, can we just stop?
Please don't make me. I don't want to go back into Rise of Skywalker.
They've never really explained how droids are intelligent, for instance, when they've got brains that look like cogs, that sort of thing. Like their computer systems are different and all that sort of stuff. So it's got its own. What I'm saying is it's got its own bones. It's got its own identity. So that's why it makes it so unlikely that you make a Star Wars show that's basically the Goonies, a kids on bikes show, and it works. How does it work? How did it work?
The Disney Plus stuff started off strong. I thought, The Mandalorian was great, but that soon revealed itself to have what I called the Baby Yoda problem, where then once they removed Baby Yoda, they didn't really know what to do with the show. Both the Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan shows I thought were ones I was highly anticipated, really excited to see, and when they finally happened, they were really.
We did get an explanation of Mandalorian culture and mythology, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So we kind of took it for granted after a while, but
Andor was great. Yeah, Andor was probably up there for me.
The problem is Andor is for adults.
Yes.
And it is not at its heart Star Wars, because Star Wars was made for
Here's
kids.
a quote from Kathleen Kennedy talking about that. She said that she didn't think that the Goonies and E.T. were kids' movies. They thought that they were movies for adults that could be enjoyed by kids.
Yeah. Again, I disagree. I think that it's a misunderstanding in terms of the alignment of what's going on here. And this happens because, Kathleen Kennedy was a producer
Mm,
on ET, not the creative mind behind it. And very much these are kids' movies. They
yeah,
are about kids, for kids. And yes, they do have some things that happen that are really heavy, but Andor is an adult Star Wars TV show.
yes,
Andor is Star Wars when they take Star Wars seriously. Like, it's dealing with issues of war and stuff. And
Yeah,
if this shit was real, this is what these
yeah.
people would feel like in that world. So it's very sort of dark, grim. It's
Mhm.
grim dark Star Wars, isn't it? Like
yeah,
I,
this.
I don't want to talk
yeah.
about Andor too much because we're here to talk about Skeleton
Right.
Crew,
All
but
right.
I can assure you that for me, when I was watching it with my mum, who's in her 70s, and she looked at me, she said, "Yeah, we'll watch this." And at the end, she said, "I know that was supposed to be Star Wars, but Fred, it really wasn't Star Wars." And I have to agree. It was a drama,
Mm,
a very good drama set in the Star Wars universe for adults.
Yeah.
And it's made like a TV series, like, that are about an hour long each episode, which is very rare to see from anybody nowadays,
yeah.
particularly if it's got Disney Plus attached to it. But Skeleton Crew, let's talk about Skeleton Crew because
Okay.
that's why we're
So
here.
Skeleton Crew was actually created by John Watts and Christopher Ford, who were the two that were responsible for Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah, they pitched it to Favoni. Favoni?
Filoni, yeah, Dave Filoni.
Filoni. While he was working on the Star Wars show. So that was back in 2021,
Mm.
I think it was. Even earlier maybe. And yeah, filming on this show took a long time. It took a year and a bit, I think.
Yeah.
And that's quite a commitment for those kids and stuff, but they would have been like quite amazed. But they really trotted out Jude Law as the star of the show uh, before they even announced any of the kids being in it. So yeah, he was like, "We got Jude Law on board," and then it was all sort of everything just gelled around that. So yeah,
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's highly inspired by Amblin Entertainment films like The Goonies and E.T.
yeah,
And it is also filmed using the Volume Tech. So the Volume Tech is a system of large LED screens used for virtual production that was actually developed and tested in 2018 by Industrial Light and Magic during the production of The Mandalorian.
yeah. So previously they would have a matte artist come in and they would do a big mural, but it was static, nothing
Yep.
moved in it. So that's really good for westerns and like city scenes and stuff like that. But it's no good for a forest, where things are supposed to be moving and stuff like that. And they really, yeah, it had some big, epic looking landscapes and stuff and alien planets and stuff that they visited. So you really go on a tour around the galaxy on this one. So it's quite good, quite good.
Yeah, it uses like dynamic lighting, real life. They can virtually make things real life. It just eliminates the need for a green screen and on location filming.
Yeah, I think that's really good for the actors too, because they actually get to get instead of walking around in a Teletubby universe.
Yeah.
They feel like they're there. So yeah,
So I have seen some interviews with the four kids regarding those screens, and they commented on them quite a bit. And they said the problem was they looked so good that they would forget that they were standing on a stage. And if you walk too far to the left or the right, you fall off the
Walk
stage.
into the screen.
And so they would walk towards the screen thinking there was depth there, only to find that suddenly they were stepping off the stage and falling off.
yeah,
So that did happen apparently. And they also said that it was
It's
easy
too
for them.
immersive.
They said it was easy for them to put themselves into the situation because they could see everything. They could, when
Yeah.
something's trying to grab a ship and tear it apart, the big, huge robot, they could see that being animated right before them. They said that they still made some changes and adjustments and post production,
Yeah.
but they had so much of the elements there to help draw from. And I think this is where the technology is going to supersede green screen. It still doesn't necessarily have the ability to interact with the actors, right? So,
No.
and they also mentioned that even though they were in a dome and they were using that technology, the vast majority of everything was puppets and practical effects. So they had something to interact with and manipulate or interact, touch.
It's funny how it correlates to the planet that the kids are on is essentially a protected dome.
True.
You know? And then of course when you get into the space stations, one of the big themes is don't get spaced. You're in a protective dome. Space is death. So there's an easy way to deal with any problem in a pirate base. Just throw them out the airlock. I really, really like the immersive busyness of the pirates space station, and how it was a massive contrast from the suburban dystopia that the kids grew up in, with no knowledge of the outside world and stuff. Also, we need to point out that this is set after the Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, this is set in the a universe where essentially the Jedi are extinct, so nobody knows about them.
It's set in 9 ABY, which refers to after the Battle of Yavin, the same period as The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the Book of Boba Fett. So it's sort of the time after the destruction of the Death Star in New Hope.
I just realised how nerdy I sound referring to the Forgotten Realms calendar all the time.
Yeah. Sorry. All right. So I'll do a quick summary of the plot. So Skeleton Crew follows Wim, Neil, Fern, and KB, 4 kids from the remote planet of At-Atin, who accidentally activate an ancient spaceship, launching them into a thrilling space adventure. They encounter pirates, droids, and unexpected allies as they learn of a hidden treasure tied to their home planet. The kids are guided by a mysterious Jod, who they believe is a Jedi, eventually discovering he's not, and the quest leads them to dangerous planets where they confront pirates, undercover dark secrets, and along the way they must outwit their enemies, trust each other, and work together to survive.
Right. Yeah, the fact that he's a Force user and not a Jedi or a Sith. What a breath of fresh air.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they do sort of indicate in the story pretty clearly that he would have been a Jedi. He was a Jedi in training, probably Padawan who never got past, maybe even a youngling who never got past that stage in his
or
training.
He was too old to be trained when they found him. So yeah, he says that, but nobody else says that. So he could be just talking shit.
And he did a lot of talking shit, didn't he?
Yeah. He's a con man, essentially. But he's also a pirate captain as well. Kind of. Well, he's a wannabe pirate captain. Also, the visual effects or the makeup effects and prosthetics for the bad guy who's basically a wolf alien, that was really well done as well. And also true to being a fan of the role playing game and seeing all the alien books and all that sort of stuff, all the different species and stuff. It was like a grab bag. I was just going, oh, that's a so and so, and that's a so and so, and that's a so and so. So you had all the classic aliens in there, apart from I don't think they had any Mon Calamari or stuff, but they had some the Aqualish. I was like, oh, somebody's going to start a fight with an Aqualish, or the Aqualish is going to start a fight with somebody. Sure enough, no.
Yeah, I think they left out the species called the sushi, didn't they?
Sushi. Mon Calamari.
Well, I mean, so this I was looking at this, and this series, like a lot of Disney Plus series, costs a lot of money.
Yeah,
$136 million.
Yeah.
Now, if that had been a movie, that would actually be quite reasonable. The fact that that's how much money they're willing to throw into a TV series, that doesn't make back nearly as much as that.
But the syndication, they'll be streaming it for decades. And you know Disney, they always come out with like the 30th anniversary box set, and
I don't understand how streaming. I know it's a subscription base, but how does it grow? Like once surely you cap out at some point.
Yeah, you do. Of course you do. And it's all, Netflix took 10 years to become profitable.
Yeah.
And Netflix is
I remember renting CDs from Netflix.
Netflix's approach has it was proven to not be a very good way of producing stuff. I think Sony Pictures is actually smarter because they just make stuff and then they sell it onto the fools who are doing a streaming service who aren't really making their money back. I honestly think that Disney Plus should just be a place where they make movies, and when the movie's done its theatre run, they stick it onto Disney Plus with the hundreds, if not thousands, of productions they have had over the years. I don't know why. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than watching a TV series and it's half an hour long. If you take all the pieces of the Skeleton Crew and put it together, you've got a movie. You take out the end credits and the front credits, and you've got a movie that's probably about 3 hours long.
Yeah.
It's probably about, and it's for 8 episodes or something like that.
But also, they staggered to the release of this. They didn't let it all out at once. They did it in true episodic fashion. So they had the first 2 episodes, and then the other ones came out a week after, and then a week after, and a week after. So they drew in a regular audience.
Yeah.
But
movies pay for themselves before you even put them onto streaming. That's the thing, and it's not like Disney cannot make movies that make money on a regular basis, unless it's called Snow White. Or
it's
the
also the marketing of it is that if they're waiting a week to watch the next episode of that show, they're going to watch something else on Disney, and they're going to get into that franchise as well, and so blah blah.
I actually feel like,
so it's part advertising budget as well as
I can attest to that as well, because my daughter got into Skeleton Crew, and immediately afterwards we started watching The Mandalorian. So because she wanted more Star Wars.
Yeah. So it's like, try this one for free, kids, and the next one,
First taste is free.
First taste is free.
Yeah. I guess my point being that, if you're going to make something that's as expensive as this, stop making a TV series and just make a movie and put them out and just make, good quality movies that make their money in the theatre. And then when you put them on the streaming, they're going to make more money than they would before than if they were in the movie. Because the reality is that this TV series did not do that well, unfortunately.
No, I think that's a once bitten, twice shy.
That's
their own fault with too many shit ones.
Yeah, exactly. Too many things that have not done well. And, they didn't even make the TV series for Marvel and Disney in a TV series manner. Like, they didn't have showrunners for so long.
Oh, it's just become so convoluted. I don't know if you guys are currently watching Daredevil. What's the new Daredevil series called? Born Again, yeah. And there was a guy that showed up in the latest episode, and I'm like, he's from one of the other shows. What show? Like, and we spent half an hour trying to guess what show he's from. And it shouldn't be that hard. Like, and we didn't get it right. We were like, I think he's from Jessica Jones. My wife, no, he's not from Jessica. It turns out he was from Hawkeye, but it's just become so convoluted that you're like, where's this? I know that guy. That guy is someone from something else. I can't remember what one he was in, and that's just because you've been oversaturated. And anyway,
Skeleton Crew should have come out closer to when Stranger Things just finished. So that was the era of the kids on bikes, Goonie style resurgence, and so they're really just like the last horse arriving at the race.
Speaking of Stranger Things, going a little bit off topic, I noticed that Hasbro are going to release that D&D starter set at the same time as the Stranger Things finale.
Well, it's always worked for them before.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. I mean, but the reality is, again, that Stranger Things is nowhere near as expensive as Skeleton Crew and most of the Star Wars TV series were. It's just, they're just phenomenally more expensive. And when something's expensive as this, you have to be sensible about your finances. You need to, and the reality is that this TV series, if it had been a movie, even if it had been a long movie, I honestly think it probably would have got more eyeballs on it. It would have had a run and streaming after it had been through the theater if they turned it into a movie. And you could probably turn it into a movie now. Don't think cutting it back.
And certainly turn it into a series of Universal Studios or Disneyland rides. You know?
Yeah, and if even if it wasn't financially, hugely financially successful in the theater, I honestly think that it has the potential to be a cult movie.
Mm,
But it's difficult to make a TV series into a cult TV series.
mm.
Very, very difficult to
Yeah,
do that.
because Goonies was a movie; it wasn't a TV series. So,
No.
and that was the cult. That was Goonies was our skeleton crew, and so this is this is the Goonies for a new generation. And they're basically trying to say, okay, look, we can make these kid shows that are appealing to a general audience,
Mm.
but they've got to market it that way. They
Yeah,
got to you got to say like this is actually gritty and horrific in some places. There's monsters and stuff here. You know, like
yeah.
when they go underneath the casino thingy. That's kind of horrific.
Mm.
It turns out that it's a nothing burger, but the vibe is still there to begin with,
Yeah.
and there's tension, and you're waiting for the inevitable betrayal and that sort of stuff, So that was kind of cool. I did find some of the characters, the kid characters, kind of
Yeah.
annoying, but
Well,
that's
they're kid characters. They're
I
actually
know.
supposed to be.
I just mean writing wise. I think some of the things that the character did should have been like stuff that was automated in the ship that he accidentally set off that was through no fault of his own, but he made really, really stupid decisions. And that just sort of detracted me from the character somewhat. Because
I think that's there to show his character growth, though. Like it does come back that he.
yeah, there's
Should we,
naivete and then there's just ridiculousness.
should we go through the characters?
Yeah.
Yeah, go through the characters absolutely.
Okay,
Because
so we got I think the one that annoyed you the most is Wim, who's our main
Wim.
guy.
Yeah.
Yep, portrayed by Ravi Carbot Connors, I think his name was. Sorry. So he's a human boy from the planet Aten. He's portrayed as sort of, I guess, a curious adventurer that dreams of becoming a Jedi. Aten's kind of like this planet where everyone's just got these boring, like, accountant type jobs. It's all about math. It's a planet that's in love with math. And
Yes,
his journey
bureaucracy.
starts when
Yeah.
he discovers. Yep. Yeah, and he's the main guy that kind of discovers the spaceship. So, yeah. Anything you want to say on Wim, or do you want me to go through all of them and then we'll go back?
So Wim is
What's next?
a dreamer. He represents the kid who has never had anything really seriously bad happen to him. So he's just unaware of danger because he's naive. And so everything.
He
So
lost
for
his
him,
mum.
yeah, but I mean, he would have been a baby when that happened. So he's just grown up without that. And his dad is very distant. He spends all the time working. He's very like dedicated to his job. He's quite high up. And for him, he's facing this test that determines what he's going to be doing for the rest of his life. Because he lives in, I'm not talking about a bureaucracy as in thing. The planet itself is ruled by a bureaucracy, like a democracy. So it is ruled by rules, and they all follow them. And he is not a rule follower. He is a dreamer, and he's full of imagination and stuff. So he still wants to be a kid, and he's being forced to grow up and choose his life path or have it chosen for him well before he's due. And that's really the issue.
he's basically the boy.
Yeah.
He's the boy. I mean, he's the iconic. This is where the young kid, the boy, is away with the fairies and really isn't doing what they probably should be. And I think it's very identifiable for a lot of boys nowadays. So even though he might be annoying, he's also very true to the nature of boys because that tends to be what they like.
Yeah.
He's also a direct tie-in, and this is from the director, the show creator. He wanted that moment where Luke is looking at the two suns and dreaming of far away. And we have that at the end of the revamped, the new Star Wars movies where the kid is going out with the broom and he looks up and he's holding a symbolic lightsaber and looking up at the two,
I don't want to be a moisture farmer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be a moisture farmer. A nerf
I don't want to be a space accountant.
Yeah. I don't want to be. I don't want to live in the bureaucracy. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But Wim's story doesn't really develop beyond the fact that his realization of what he would like to be and the realization that he is not a Jedi and that he probably won't be a Jedi. Can you see that at the very end of the TV series is that, the realization that there isn't going to be that moment right now, and maybe never, and probably never, where he's able to make shit move around with his mind and wield a lightsaber without hurting himself or cutting a hole in the
I
floor.
do love that scene where he sparks the lightsaber for the first time. It's upside down.
It's upside down, yeah. Yeah.
That's something I would do.
Mm. Yeah.
So next up we've got Fern, who's, I guess, she kind of is the sort of de facto leader, really the most sensible one of the group.
Yep. She's a tomboy.
Yep. Seems very inspired. She kind of is distant to everyone, isn't she? She seems somewhat inspired by Han Solo to me, a little bit.
Yeah.
Even down to that little waistcoat.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, I could see that. I kind of see her as the girl that's the rebel that doesn't follow she is the, I guess, the counterpart to Wim.
Mm.
You know, in terms of there's the boy and there's the girl, and they've essentially got the same thing going on with basically a boy and a girl. But the only difference is that because of she is a girl, and because of her age, girls tend to be a lot bossier at that particular point, and they also tend to be a little bit more mature. Wim is a lot less mature than she is, but she's also thinks that she knows more than she really does, and so that gets her into trouble later on as her arc follows. And she has got more of an arc, I think, than Wim does, but not much more.
Yeah.
Not much more. It was interesting watching the actress who plays Fern, and I think it's probably very likely that in 10 years, if we're still alive, we're going to see that actress in some big roles. She seems like she's definitely a professional actor.
Yeah. Yeah, her character's bossy. She bosses around her friend, and just sort of her friend goes along with it. But it forces her friend to, as we get to later on in the story, hide her disability, you could say.
What disability?
Yeah.
What disability?
Fern?
No, her friend.
Friend.
He's talking about KB.
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 Yeah, so KB has got a prosthetic, basically a bionic brain, that is a part of the franchise of Star Wars and stuff. We see it with, usually it's an augmentation for office admins and stuff like that. So
Lobot. She's like the half human, half cyborg tech genius with sort of Lobot sort of implants.
But we see them in like the Bespin Sky City. There was one of the administrators that was working for
that's Lobot.
Oh, that's Lobot. Okay, yeah. So we get that. So she has problems in that, she gets sensory overload and that sort of thing. So essentially, she's a stand-in for an autistic person. She's got exactly the same sort of problems and stuff like that. So they managed to put that in there without putting it in there in your face, sort of thing. They Star Wars it, and similar sort of thing with the other character, the alien character, who's the chubby kid. He's the chubby kid from the Goonies. So they've all got. It's really very much a Goonies sort of thing.
They've really tried to hit as many marks as they can to get as much of the kid audience to identify with one of the four characters.
Yeah, and it's like so prevalent. Even the did you notice that the music soundtrack has got 4 notes? It's got 1 note for each of the kids. Do, 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 do. Yeah,
that's clever.
Yeah,
he is he's a Mayakan. So I thought he was the same race as Max Rebo.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
He's not, because he doesn't have the sucker fingers.
Yeah, he's a similar race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Neil. Sorry, Neil is his name.
Neil.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of the nervous. He's kind of the cautious one, isn't he, of the group? But the heart of the group. As well.
He's the one who was the most comfortable in the bureaucracy, in the suburbia. He wanted the comfortable life. His family is very homey. Everything about them is straight laced.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, I think we get our first kid, someone in a bath in Star Wars. I don't think we've ever had that before. It's the first time I've seen anyone in Star Wars have a bath. It has got some, like you said with the KB character, though. It does touch on some issues which could be, I guess, considered woke, but she's got lesbian parents and whatnot, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it does not in your face.
Yeah, it's done really well.
this is
Yeah.
my the thing, the difference between inclusion and integration. They're two separate words, right? So inclusion
Mm.
means it's there, but it's in your face and it's separate from everybody else. And and integration means it's just part of the landscape.
Mm.
And that's the big difference between woke and the forcing it into something, and just a natural inclusion of it that's not highlighted or really just distracting from the rest of the scene, sort of thing. Like, you don't need to make a big issue of it. It's just there, and that's we're at that stage in society now. We can just say, look, okay, we're
It's
aware of it
it's
now. It's
yeah,
fine.
it's
Yeah. Nobody's getting triggered by this.
it's not there for an agenda. It's
Yeah.
it's there to
It's just
yeah,
there
'cause
because
it
it's there.
fits with the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find the KB character interesting because it's a juncture point. I mean, it's sort of there's two things going on. You've got somebody who's got a disability who you would think would, and obviously this causes problems for her because
That's
her,
that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole series. That scene between her and Wim, where he has to help her
yeah,
after they all kind of have that hissy fit.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
It's such a quiet moment, but it's
Yeah.
really well done. Yeah,
And also Fern's reaction to realizing that she's forced her friend to hide that aspect of herself because of her bullish behavior.
Yeah, that there are some limitations to what she can do, but she's also the smartest out of the four of them.
Yeah.
But she's not perfect. Like, it's not like she knows everything, and they do present that in the story. That I can figure out a lot of stuff, but I don't actually know the answer because I never learned it.
Mm.
So, and one of those things is how to fly the ship. It's like I'm not entirely sure how to do that, but I
Yes.
mean, I can kind of guess some of it, but not all of it.
Mm.
So that was good to see there.
I imagine it also, we probably don't understand this because we grew up in a time without cell phones and stuff like that. But kids these days, you take their technology away from them and they're terrified. They feel like they're disabled.
I can attest to that. I can
Yeah.
If I turn the internet off on my house, my kids don't know what to do.
Right. Yeah. Me and my neighbor were out chatting for half an hour when our internet went out the other day. So it sort of speaks to, in a technological environment, she's the master of her domain. She's better than everybody else. She's got that connection to the machines and stuff. But take her out of there into the caustic wilderness without power sources and stuff, and she fails, she falters, and she lacks confidence and feels like she has to hide her anxiety and stuff. So that speaks to modern kids on a very fundamental level that I think us adults don't really understand. We don't truly understand their anxiety in that regard.
I consider KB kind of like a more advanced version of the character Data from the Goonies.
Yeah. She's probably my favorite out of the four kids. I thought she was great. Before we get into Jude Law's character, because I think that's going to take up a lot of time, I just SM33, voiced by the great Nick Frost, a decrepit droid who was the first mate of the Oik Cinder. He was great.
Yeah, and occasionally quite bloody terrifying.
Yeah.
Because he's a machine. Like, he follows his programming, and if his programming switches against you, you're boned. He doesn't care,
Yeah.
He's got he's got so many vibes of Long John Silver.
Yeah.
And the
Nick
rat,
Frost is
the
great.
rat thing. Oh, can we talk? Can we talk about the reimagining of the parrot? Oh my god, that was so good. My mum absolutely loved that. Yeah, that little rat thing in his skull. That was great.
He's my favorite new Star Wars droid since who was the one in Rogue One? He was great as well.
KBSO?
Yeah.
I love KBSO as well. I've got a pin.
That is something that the new Kathleen Kennedy era of Star Wars has gotten right for me, is they've given us some great new droids.
Yeah, I would be happy to watch a droid show. Just all droids, yeah. Like droid rights. What's her name? Gwendolyn, the big tall lady who played Brienne of Tarth.
Yep.
She played that robot in Solo, that was all about droid rights and stuff, and how she had a human who was in love with her.
No, that wasn't her.
Oh, wasn't it?
No, I can't remember
Oh,
the actress name. Sorry, I can't. It's not. It's
She
not
played
her.
Phasma.
Yeah,
yeah.
she plays
I thought.
Phasma. Yeah.
I thought she played the droid. Oh,
No.
No, no.
I wonder who it was. Kate
Um,
Blanchett or something. I
so
don't know.
no, I just saw that Nick Frost has been announced as Hagrid in the new Harry Potter TV series or something, or they're making something else Harry
I
Potter.
think he'll do fine.
Yeah,
Very well.
I really don't give a shit about Harry Potter.
No, no.
I've never read the books. Yeah, I should one day.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, good character, and very appealing, and plays off the kids really well, in a good way and a bad way.
yeah.
Yeah.
When he switches, oh yeah. Did you get Wizard of Oz vibes from the show? Like it's basically they're lost and trying to find their way home.
No, I didn't get Wizard of Oz vibes, primarily because there's 4 characters that seem to be trying to find their way home. But I can see where you're going with that. You've got the Tin Man,
Yeah,
the Scarecrow. I don't know who would be the Scarecrow. Probably, I guess you could say that Jude Law's character is the Scarecrow, but a bit twisted. And then who's the Lion? I don't know. There's
that'll be Neil, the Cowardly
Neil.
Lion. Yep.
The Cowardly Lion. I suppose you could. Yeah, I suppose you could say that. I mean, there's a lot of things that there are similarities. They've pulled from a lot of different sources to make this story come together,
Yeah.
which is great. It's nice to see. I'm just glad that it's fun and entertaining to watch, as far as I'm concerned. And I find it interesting there are a lot of people who don't like the TV series, or didn't watch the TV series, or have given up on the Star Wars TV series completely. But
Yeah.
it's clear that it's designed for kids. It's not designed for adults who are the older generation. Whether it's the original generation that grew up watching the first movies in the theater, or the next generation that fell in love with Star Wars again. This is the completely new generation, and it has a new look at how it works. And what's great is that critics have been very kind. Like, the critics like the series, but 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. But also
Yeah.
the audience likes the series, 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a good sign. I think those are all aspects that lead to the potential that if a TV series can be a cult TV series, this one might be one of those.
Mm,
But it's hard to do for a TV series. It really is.
mm. Oh,
All right,
also, it
let's.
was Phoebe Waller-Bridge was the actress who played the
Yeah.
droid in Solo,
Yeah, that's the one.
who played the
All right.
L3. I looked it up. Sorry, everybody in the audience.
That's all right. I do know stuff about Star Wars. It's probably the thing I know a little bit more than AJ for once.
Yeah.
All right. So Jude Narwood, a pirate captain who was once trained in the Jedi arts. He's charismatic, quick thinking, charming, and cunning.
Mm.
Jude Law is great, man. He has got such a massive CVA when it comes to sci-fi. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Gattaca, AI, Sky Captain.
He's been in the good, the bad, and the ugly of sci-fi, from existence, which causes physical revulsion in some people. It's like a David Lynch movie. It's pretty out there.
So yeah, I mean, Star Wars is always known for its scoundrel type characters, and yeah, he took that brief in.
And he doesn't really have a redemption arc too. We get is it 3 or 4 times so that we think there's going to be a redemption arc, that he's going to have a switch, and then he switches back again.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my, there is no redemption arc. He is a messed up individual.
He's got all these aliases as well, isn't he? What's he? Crimson Jack, Dash Zetin.
He's the classic freebooter, con artist, charmer. He's the face sort of character, and also the charm. He wants to be the charming, pirate captain, and of course he's after the big score, the ultimate score, and he's addicted to it. He's addicted to the. He's like a gold rush. He's once he's had a sniff of unlimited credits, and he gets locked into the mythos of the treasure planet. So, I mean, there's a very good movie called Treasure Planet. That's also excellent adults and kids movie. So leaning into that, and the Long John Silver and the whole pirate vibe of it, and the pirate code, he's in his element. And he has really good cameos. He doesn't take up a huge amount of screen time, but he seems to. He just he just eats that role. Yeah, right from the very beginning, where he's in a jail cell on purpose.
Yeah.
just to stay out of trouble. It's nice and peaceful, but he can get out at any time. It's fantastic.
Yeah. He's force sensitive. Would you say he's force sensitive?
And they never explain it. They never explain how he can do the force or anything like that.
Well,
It's just
they do.
Yeah, they do.
He explains it, but whether it's a true indication of what actually happened, I think it has some truth to it, because everything he says has some truth to it.
Mm.
It's just not quite exactly that way.
And he's got absolutely no sympathy for Wim's pain. He's got no empathy for that kid. That was a really telling part of his character when Wim is just crying and homesick, and he's just like, get over it.
Because he had a shit child. He had a shit childhood.
Yeah, so he's devoid of the thing that Wim is throwing away. And that's the thing. That's that. If you carry on down this path, you will be me, sort of thing.
He's. I'm sure. Fred is the mental health expert in the group, but I'm sure he is. He is. If we peel back the layers of the character, it's because he sees Wim as being, selfish for throwing away his spoilt childhood, and that's something he never had. He wish he had a father that cared for him, and he's trying to fill that void with endless riches.
So he both envies it and detests it at the same time. So he's a complicated character. He's an onion.
I would say his character is probably uses the kids more as a tool to begin with, but you do see that there is a part of him that is, there's a line that he won't step over, and you think he's going to step over it more than a few times. You're adamant. It seems like he's sure of it, and you're sure of it, but he doesn't actually kill the kids.
Yeah,
and he had more than a few opportunities, and there's more than a few times where he's so frustrated with them, he's ready to do it, and we know that he has no qualms about killing adults because he's, chuck him out the airlock, goodbye.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more to be said. And, any opportunity to take down his enemies, he would do that. Not a problem. It's not something he thinks, has a second thought about.
He's got the classic ex-girlfriend on his ass as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just uses his charisma to get out of all the situations.
Yeah. The thing I like about him most is that he is a really, really accomplished actor. So he knows what he's doing, what his facial expressions are, and all that sort of stuff. So he's acting with his whole thing. He understands his role in that movie, that it wouldn't work unless you were not entirely sure that he wasn't going to hurt the kids. There's got to be that real tension of this could go either way, and he really does put those kids in an awful lot of danger. When he sees that when he's backed into a corner, he's capable of anything. He's all about himself, really.
Yeah, but he also gets them out of a lot of trouble that they create for themselves. He's like, there's at least the point of least resistance is this, and for what you're trying to achieve, you're doing it the wrong way. For him, taking a risk for a lot of cash and gold is the smart thing to do, but doing it for a robot, that doesn't make any sense, or for a friend, because he doesn't have any friends.
Yeah.
And why would you do that for a friend? That don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Do it for yourself, maybe, but not for a friend.
Yeah, and he's constantly running from his self-created problems that are always catching up with him. So it's kind of like Han Solo in the last movie we saw Han Solo. He's being chased by people that he owes money to from all around the galaxy. So yeah. And you can see that calculation going on as Jude is thinking in character, and projecting those thoughts through his acting of I still need the kids. They're still useful to me. So that's why he saves them. That's why he and this is and the realization of oh, this is the legendary ship. Oh, I'm actually involved in something really big. And then it's I can use this to get my position back at the space station and take over from that guy. Because it's all about hearts and minds. And so for him, it's this is a con. you know. And then he realizes this isn't just a con story. This is the real deal. I'm really onto the thing. And then he's like, but believe me this time. And they're all like, we've heard your story so many times, you know, we're not going to believe you. And
That's a
just
great
like,
speech
but,
he gives to
but
get
look
his
at the
crew back.
yeah, but look at the shiny credit. And he's got actual proof, you know, this time.
Yeah. Yeah, he is great. I have the feeling that he kind of views those kids, if something happens to them and he's not around, then that's not his fault.
It's not his problem. Yeah.
Yeah. But
He'd get over it. He'd get over it pretty quick.
Yeah. He's very good. Anything else we want to get into with him?
No.
Right.
I think he played well with the kids. It seemed clear to the kids, the actors that were playing the kids, really respected Jude and did their best to sort of play off him. They are a good combination, and it covers all of your bases. It's a kid's story,
yeah.
But there is an adult involved as well who has very adult ways of thinking too. Really, yeah.
It's a kid's story, but it appeals to me because at no point do any of the actors not take it seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about Atten?
It's a mint. It's one of the few mint. Well, it's the only mint left, apparently. That was part of the Old Republic. That's now gone, and the highly secret, and basically it's a treasure planet.
Yeah, it's a big MacGuffin, isn't it? Of the whole. Yeah, it's weird because it's kind of shown as this idyllic sort of suburb, very reminiscent of those E.T. films, isn't it? The suburbs. Yeah, even down to the bike chase. Even has a bike chase in it.
Yeah, they are literally kids on hover bikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the Poltergeist and all of the houses and housing and Poltergeist. It's all essentially exactly the same. You go to one suburb and it's exactly the same as the last suburb that you went to.
Oh man, there's this movie. I don't know what it's called, but I keep thinking of it as The Cuckoo's Nest. And this couple get shown this home. They drive into suburbia and they don't realize that it's a extra dimensional trap and they can never get out. And they basically have all of the things that are required for them to live delivered to them to this house, and they can never escape it. And they end up raising this nightmarish alien baby. It's a great movie. It'll make you horrified to ever step foot in suburbia again in your life.
What's it called?
I've forgotten. Anyway,
thank God.
So yeah, so the other interesting thing is each one of the planets is laid out exactly the same way. So they have, you got this joy of going into the film set, and then they got the ruined version of exactly the same film set, and then going back to the other one and stuff. So it's familiar and spooky at the same time. Yeah, so that was cool.
And the planet's run by a massive droid as well, known as the Supervisor, voiced by the always fantastic. Is it Stephen Fry that does the voice?
I think so.
Yeah.
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 Shh. Sorry, that was Stephen Fry. He was trying to chime in there. Just...
It's because I said the Supervisor. I activated AI.
Yeah, it's always listening to me.
Stephen Fry is playing an AI girl right now. So yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of because the way they hide the planet, I guess, is really cool. Yeah, it's covered in this kind of because they don't see the stars or anything, so they don't know where they are, and it's got this sort of storm shield around the outside. It's a thing of legends. It's the last mint, I think, the last Old Republic mint.
Yep.
And it's just a cool concept. I don't believe it's ever been mentioned before in anything else that I've come across in Star Wars.
No, that was never was. I think it's an interesting concept that you would literally have a planet that all it does is just mine gold and turn it into credits to be sent out to the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Are they mining gold?
Well, they must. They've got to get it from somewhere.
Oh, they're data mining. They're Bitcoin. They're all Doge. They're all Dogecoins.
Well, I mean, it's made of gold. Like, and you can't make gold. You have to get it from somewhere, right?
True.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. Well, you can't make gold in the Star Wars universe, as far as we know. Yeah.
If you've got enough midichlorians, you can, mate. I believe.
I'm just gonna.
My
powers that are
gold
deemed
is
powers that are
pure
deemed unnatural. Yeah.
midichlorians. Pure midichlorians.
The last character I would like to talk about is the Oink Cinder. What do we think
The
of this
ship.
ship?
The ship is really cool. The whole like twist at the end of it was awesome. It was an awesome reveal. Like
The
you know,
shredding of this
Yeah.
skin, you mean?
the shedding of its disguise. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like this is the. It'd be like the the joke is every time you see the Millennium Falcon, the people in the show go, "What, that piece of shit," and it's
Yeah.
like the fastest ship in the galaxy. Well, this is the opposite. It's just like, oh, that piece of junk, and then you realize, oh, that's the legendary pirate captain's ship, and it's this whiz bang. And I really like the design of that ship.
Yeah.
I would personally own that ship for sure.
Yeah, Star Wars ships that are always pieces of shit are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the sort of ship that if you had the opportunity, you would buzz the beehive as many times as you possibly
Yeah, absolutely.
could. Or the White House. For those of you who are in America, it would be buzzing the White House as
Yeah,
many times as you
yeah.
could. Yeah.
We have this, like, it literally looks like a beehive. That's why we call it a beehive. It's this big round building that was quite an architectural marvel, really. But yeah, it's a weird looking building.
Yeah, there's a lot of buttons on that ship that those kids shouldn't be pressing as well.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, just one in particular would have been a good idea not to press it. But I mean, let's get real. How many kids don't want to press the big green or red button? Like it's particularly if it's lit up and it's quite large and it looks important. It's like, what could happen? It's a
It does have
spaceship.
that. It's a pirate ship. It's a space pirate ship. They took that concept.
Yeah, and the butler is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool because he had that programming and stuff, and he was locked out of telling them, where the thing was, and he had those safeguards and stuff placed there because he was just a walking powder keg of problems, really. That robot. So he's incredibly useful, but at any time he can turn into a killing machine. So it's just like shit. Yeah. And quite an effective one too. It's like we saw quite an effective droid attack thing there. He was quite formidable. He's certainly not one of the clone army droids, that's for sure.
No.
All right. Anything else we want to get into? I've got a few Easter eggs, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's close to Easter, so we might as well have some of those.
It's a month away from Easter, Fred.
No, it's close enough. It's close
The
enough.
supermarket's still full of it. Yes, last year's chocolate has made its return to the supermarket shelves.
Well, I mean, you'd think that Easter was like tomorrow because the chocolate eggs have been in the supermarkets for a month at least.
Yeah,
No,
the rule now is
Boxing Day.
the rule in New Zealand is as soon as one holiday is over, they're immediately marketing the next one immediately. They don't give us any break.
Yeah.
That is-
Even holidays that aren't ours now. Black Friday is on for a month.
Oh my God!
Is that crazy?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one day some kid's going to come up to me and say, "Happy Thanksgiving." I'm saying, "For what?"
Yeah. Or Halloween. We don't do
Halloween.
We don't
The wrong time of the year.
Halloween.
I refuse to celebrate Christmas in June. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because we don't even have snow in the Bay of Plenty anyway, so we're never going to have Christmas here.
I think that was Christmas in June was created by English people living in Australia that felt homesick because
Go
Christmas
home.
is Christmas.
Yeah.
You're not,
Christmas didn't mean summer, so
You're
they
not
waited till winter.
just tell them the bad news. You're not going to get snow in Australia. It's not gonna
Sorry.
happen.
Yeah. You think they called the Snowy Mountains because they got snow? Wrong. Oh, that country. Anyway.
That's salt.
Yeah, it's salt. It's tears.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we got a holographic circus, which was meant to be a little nod to the 1978 Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh God.
Why would you even? Why?
Apparently,
Why?
that's in Neil's siblings are being entertained by a circus, a holographic circus.
Well, I mean, there's nothing
I've
wrong
never
with the
actually-
holographic circus, but I mean,
Yeah,
the fact
like
that
a
it's
flea
a nod
circus.
to the Star Wars holiday special of all things,
Oh,
a thing that people have tried so desperately to forget if they've ever seen it, and if they don't know about it, it's probably a good thing.
Mm.
Mm.
boy, so-
You've got to know if the creators of this TV series are putting that in there, you've got to know that they are super nerds when it comes to stuff.
Oh, there's some nerdy facts in here.
Yep.
One of the songs playing during Skeleton Crew is actually a cover of David Bowie's Major Tom, but it is sung in Huttonese.
No.
Wow.
Major Tom. My God.
Wow. I do know that one of the I saw an interview with the artist who did all the graffiti in one of the series. I think it might have been Andor, where he actually learned Huttese and did the graffiti in actual Huttese. So that was dedication, man. I mean, you're just a set artist and you learn an alien language. Jeez, that's quite amazing.
It reminds me of the Star Trek fans at learning Vulcan.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't Huttese. It was the Galactic Standard.
So
Yeah.
Neil's Species was a brand new creation for the Skeleton Crew, but it is reminiscent of the Otterland, which is probably most famous for Max Rebo.
Yeah.
And Return of the Jedi.
Wonder if we'll see it again. Probably.
SM33. He was influenced by Smee from Peter Pan, with 33 being interpreted as EE backwards.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have 33. We had L33 thingy was the droid that in the Solo movie.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I hate to say it, but unless it's R2D2 or C3PO, stop screwing around with letters and numbers for droids, because nobody gives a shit.
Well,
I
you gotta
like
love
it.
this one.
I like it. I think it's cool.
There was an iconic X-Wing fighter which was first seen in The New Hope, also appears in the Skeleton Crew, which was T-65BX. They've gone really deep. So it's like someone recognizing a number plate, I guess.
I have seen some YouTube videos lately which have been nobody ever noticed in the thing, and it was like during a where a lightsaber battle was about to happen with the two Jedi. Oh, the Jedi. Sorry, Kenobi and the cyborg guy. Yeah. The cyborg with the extra arms.
Okay.
Kenobi!
General Grievous.
General Grievous. And there are two droids in the background, and one of the droid elbows the other droid, and the other droid goes, "Huh?" And he's like points at the thing. So the droids are doing stuff in the background that you never notice. It's just they are really, they have some really cool stuff in Star Wars sometimes. Yeah, the droids doing funny stuff.
Like those repair droids in The Mandalorian when they land the Razor Crest and they like kind of pop into little clamshells when they're nervous.
Yeah. I love those guys. The pit crew. Yeah.
We hit the nail on the head with this one. The Neighborhood was a tribute to E.T. and Poltergeist, reflecting Spielberg's influence. So we definitely picked up on that ourselves.
Pity they didn't have like a big rainstorm and then all the dead bodies of the workers who established the base that they killed off to keep it secret. That would have been a nice twist.
That's probably the next series if they get it made, which is probably not going to happen. But
that would have been cool if they'd discovered that on one of the worlds that had broken down and stuff and was in ruins, and there was like they broke into the catacombs or fell through the floor or something, and it's like, oh god, it was built on top of the graves of all the people who built it.
Yeah.
Well, they do go into the catacombs at one point. I guess.
Yes. Yeah, kind of.
That was that. If you didn't get it, it was a Goonies inspired episode TV series. That one particular episode was so on the nose for Goonies, even down to the all the shit on the table. Don't mess with the treasure on the table and stuff.
Right.
Like that.
Yes. Yeah.
However, we didn't have a Gronk, hey you guys character in this. Because I don't think
What do you call him, Gronk?
Whatever his name was, Hunk or something.
Oh my god,
that guy. So we didn't have Master Blaster in this show, which was okay. It wasn't really necessary.
We did have the octopus that they took out of the Goonies movie.
Yeah.
The mud spa or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
Living underneath it, there's a huge alien octopus creature that turns out to be more interested in listening to stories than eating people or killing anybody. And yeah, you do get the feeling that that they have pulled from the Goonies a lot and a lot of other things. But yeah,
Considering how many times characters go sliding through tubes in Star Wars, why haven't we got a Star Wars themed Hydro Park?
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
Seems
I'm sure
perfect
the
to me.
day it's probably going to get made when we're dead, mate. It's
I
just
remember
when we're
playing.
gone.
I was playing one of the
You,
video
s-
games.
you start the ride at the hydro park. You're on top of a thing, and then Darth Vader comes out, cuts your hand off, and then you jump down the slide.
Put your hand in the box. Yeah. Like even one of the classic Star Wars games, you go running for miles through fuel refueling pipes to get into a big Star Destroyer ship. That was really cool. So yeah.
Sloth is the person you were thinking of from the Goonies,
Oh, right.
and
Thank you.
and we didn't get One-Eyed Willie either.
No.
No,
No One-Eyed Willies in this show.
no.
Yeah, he was implied. He was the captain that had previously in the ship. Do
Yeah.
we ever see him? No,
No.
we don't see any depictions of him.
No. You got some more facts, AJ, from your list of 50 facts?
No, that's about it, really.
All right. Do you think has this been announced to have a sequel? Does anyone know?
No, I don't think it has, and I would not expect it to do so because it's one of those unfortunate things where things like the Acolyte and a particularly poor Ahsoka TV series that really didn't capture enough of the audience, and a sort of not a great Obi-Wan TV series didn't help
No, that's
either.
so disappointing, that one.
A lot of people were not quite as excited about Mandalorian season 3. I don't think that's a bad thing because I feel like Mandalorian was only ever going to go to 3 seasons because Disney does not like to pay anybody any extra once they get past season 3, so they always can everything. So they were always going to move to a movie because they knew they would have to pay more, and if they want to continue, they're not going to do a TV series, they're going to go movie. And then Boba Fett and the Book of Boba Fett didn't do well. There's too many things that just haven't been able to pull it off. And it's really unfortunate that the critics really liked it. The audience who watched it seemed to generally like it quite a lot. And it captures all of the heart, I feel, of Star Wars. It seems to appeal to a new generation. And really, who gives a shit about ourselves liking it or anybody else who's in their, in their 30s and 40s and 50s and so forth? Because it's really unimportant. It is more for the new generation who are kids and in their teenage years. And if it's appealing to them, that's where the future lies. But I just don't see them making another TV series. And I don't think it would work either story-wise. Where is it really going to go? You can't throw these kids into another crazy life-threatening situation after you've just thrown them into another one. What is that always going to be the thing that's going to wind up happening? Is the story is about throwing these kids into a crazy situation. They threw themselves into this. What are you going to do? You're going to have Wim push another button, or Neil push a button this time, and have all hell break loose. I just don't think that it's something. It's not. It's like the Goonies. They never made number 2 because I don't think it would have worked to make a number 2.
Yeah.
I guess it possibly will have ramifications for the rest of the Star Wars universe with the Mint suddenly coming out. It's their little journey, I guess, changed.
Also, kids grow up, so they would not be the same actors that we were familiar with. Stranger Things navigated that quite well, I thought. And Harry Potter, because Harry Potter was written that way.
I will see. It's been a long time between drinks for Stranger Things, whatever season we're up to.
I think 5, isn't it? 5.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
God, I'm pretty. Who would have thought?
No, I wouldn't have thought.
A few of the kids are even married now.
And 20, I think, isn't it? 11 character called.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown is
Isn't she 26 now?
Yeah, she's a model now. She'd be spitting out kids soon. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I think she. Yeah. I think she's going to get. So, or definitely getting married. Already married. Or getting married.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky one. I think the future for Skeleton Crew is they get somebody who's good at editing, and they cut the TV series into a movie, and they release it as a general audience movie onto the theaters to see if they can get more people behind it, and then they consider what they can do from there. But the truth of the matter is, if they were to tell the story of these kids, these kids still need to be together, and they're not going to be kids anymore.
No.
It'll be the
Mm.
story of the teenagers,
Well-
if they even get to the teenagers. Like, it
I'd
takes
be
a
more
long time.
interested in seeing more of a story of Jod Narwood.
Yeah, I could see the kids doing some voice acting for some short, the blip cartoons that they do these days, the little,
Mhm.
5-minute cartoon
Mm.
things. They could do a series of those for
Mm.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, AJ, before we get out on this?
Generally good. 2 thumbs up. I would watch it again, probably in a year's time. I'll watch it again.
I went in with low expectations, but I was pleasantly surprised in the best way. I think it completely nailed what it was going for with the E.T. Goonies vibe.
Mm.
The kids were charismatic, had good character growth, fucking space pirates. It's also, it's nice to also, see stories outside of the usual Jedi versus Sith. It felt kind of fresh having something else.
Yeah, but also be quite spectacular and galaxy spanning and light speed ships and stuff, and not just all
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
And,
But also great to see that they didn't just reuse the old characters again.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
we keep going back to the old characters.
This is a era of Star Wars lore that has just been like fucking mined to death as well. This particular sort of, like, I was like, oh, they're going, why don't we go somewhere else? Why don't we go Old Republic, or why are we back in this era again? Fuck, how many stories can you tell? So I think that's what led to my low expectations.
You know what my pitch would be if I went to Dave Filoni and said, hey, here's an idea for a series? It would be the testing grounds where they were developing the new TIE fighters and TIE Advanced and stuff like that, and the intrigue of sabotage and that sort of stuff going on between the Republic and stuff, and the fact that the arms dealers and the manufacturers were playing to both sides. So that would be a really interesting series where it's industrial espionage and that sort of stuff going on with, actual, spies and special agents and stuff.
A crash test dummy droid.
Yeah. So if you're listening, Dave, give me a call.
Okay.
I think the biggest one for me is
Don't ask, you don't get.
like, for the first time ever, my daughter was actually excited to watch a Star Wars show with me after me, and she was even like asking when the next episode was out. So
That's cool.
Like Fred says, it's not just for us, but to quote Al Pacino, sort of, I guess, every time I think I'm out, they fucking pull me back in.
Okay. No, so is that how it is for you?
That's a good point to go out on.
I have a question. Your daughter liked the Star Wars. Do you have any other kids?
Yep. Two daughters.
What did the other daughter think of?
She didn't want to bother getting off her phone to get out of her bedroom to come watch it.
Oh, okay.
I got one daughter that has hit a certain age where, she's kind of in that bedroom phase.
Right.
And my other daughter just still thinks I'm cool and wants to hang out all the time. So,
right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it might be years if she ever comes across this TV series. See, this is why I feel like it was a lost opportunity making this a TV series.
Kids don't watch TV like we used to as well.
No.
That's another thing you need to take into account. Kids don't have attention spans anymore. We've grown up with a TikTok. Yeah, if they can't get something within a 30 second to 1 minute.
Yeah. 6 to 8 seconds. If you haven't got it across, they're gone. If they were even there before.
Yep. So there's not many kids that will sit down and watch a TV show these days.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, maybe that's why they make TV series so short. But I honestly feel like if you're going to use that medium, it just seems like a completely wasted opportunity to make a TV series that is half an hour long rather than close to an hour long. You might as well just take them all and just clip them together into a movie and be done with it. And I reckon it's much more likely that both your daughters would have gone and seen the Skeleton Crew movie over the TV series.
And
And
you're forcing people to have concentration when they're in a movie because you
yep,
can't take your phone.
yep,
It's a dark theater.
yep.
You know, whereas if you're watching a TV show, I'll convince my daughter, hey, come. We actually watch League of Legends. She liked League of Legends,
Hmm.
but if she's not into something, she'll come in and go, oh, okay, and then she'll sit there moping and she'll watch it for about 2 minutes and then go, oh, no, I'm bored,
Hmm.
and then wander off.
Mm.
And you don't want to force your kids to watch stuff because then they just hate it, Whereas my other daughter was, she was captivated by it, and it was the kids. It was the kids that captivated her. She liked, Neil, and she found Neil hilarious, and the bit with the lightsaber upside, those little moments of that of the series, captured her. So yeah, well done, and so much so that immediately afterwards we started watching The Mandalorian.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, but the problem is you're not going to go and watch those other
All right.
TV series that Star Wars had. I
Okay.
always find it's a good litmus test for anything that I watch, is if I wind up going and seeing it with my mum on a Friday. Now we often go to the movies, and we haven't been to the movies for a long time. We've been doing a lot of TV series or watching movies at home, just because she's getting older, and unless it's really worthwhile, there've been quite a few movies that we've gone to see that have been less than sort of stellar. And so it's you don't spending $20 to go and see a movie, even if she's got the gold card. She's got the gold card.
Yeah.
It's like, really, did I really want to go through that?
Mm.
Sit through
Yeah.
and eating shitty popcorn that I could make myself that would be better.
Oh, we went. We took the kids to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Me, my wife, and our two girls, and we spent $120 for a
Mhm.
fucking very average 90-minute movie.
Yeah, I liked Sonic 3. It was a fun movie.
Yeah,
But
not
again,
enough.
it's not enough to sort of warrant the cost. Do you know what I mean? You've
Yeah,
got to have some pretty high quality stuff going on, stories that really will capture you and entertain. And so we just haven't.
and this day and age as well. I mean, if you didn't catch something at the cinema, you had to wait months for it to come out. Now there doesn't seem to be any sort of downtime. Now it's like it's fucking available to stream within like. If a movie flops, it's almost out the next week on a
Yeah,
streaming service.
yeah. It's
Mm.
such a stupid thing to do. When we finished watching the Skeleton Crew,
Yeah,
and my mum said that was great. That was a good story. And my mum is not really a TV watching person. She's a book reader.
Mm.
So she will watch stuff with me, but I can see mum's barometer for anything in terms of story when it comes to the visual, whether it's a movie or a TV series, is it better be entertaining, or she is not into it.
Mm.
And so it was a hard watch to get through Andor for her.
Mm.
She said it was near the end, the last couple of episodes, that she sort of felt like, okay, but this is not a kid's story. This is
No.
not a kid's story, and
Yeah.
this is not really the Star Wars that I remember. And if you asked her a few questions, it's not like she remembers a lot of the dialogue from the Star Wars universe. So I think it's a great step in the right decision and the right direction. I just wish the decision had been that they made it a movie, and I feel like there's still an opportunity, because this has happened before. They've taken a TV series, they've got somebody who's smart and creative and knows how to cut a TV series into a movie, and they've re-released it and they've done well. And they did that
Yeah.
with Battlestar Galactica, the original, and a few other things as well. And I think that its life, if it were to continue, has the potential to be in the form, because it's a very entertaining TV series. It's just
Yeah.
really short.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Anyway,
I believe what's the actor's name? Topher Grace. He does these sort of little projects on the side for fun, and I know he has taken the prequel trilogy and also the Hobbit trilogy and edited those into like 2-hour films. Like taken all 3 films and just cut out all the fucking shit and just chop them up into like digestible 2-hour films.
right.
And then release them for his friends. And it's like
Right.
you can't find these copies because they don't exist. But everyone that's seen them is like going, fuck, that's so much better.
Yeah.
Better way to watch The Hobbit.
Well, somebody, I believe, on YouTube took the Obi-Wan Kenobi's TV series and then edited and cut it into a movie and turned what was a very mediocre story into a much better story, I understand. And I think that's what they really want to consider doing, is that it could find life in the theatre, since so few people went and watched it on Disney+.
All right, let's get out of here, eh?
Yep.
So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. I think we possibly are talking about War of the Worlds.
Oh
next week.
yes, I'm on board for that. You were mentioning that a few weeks ago.
No one would believe that three guys would sit and talk about War of the Worlds for 3 hours, but we did. No,
I think we're going to.
Shit,
We
that's
seem to be
probably
having a
true.
theme of going back to Mars.
yeah, true. Well, Mars is so hot right now. I'm just going.
Yeah.
It's freezing fucking cold.
To be fair, though, most of that story
we got-
doesn't take
we got
place on
Total
Mars.
Recall. We got Total Recall on the list as well. So yeah, I think Mars has almost like become a hot topic for us on the podcast. There's a lot of
Yeah.
Mars-based.
So next week is the Mars special, in celebration of I don't know.
In celebration of Elon Musk opening up his new miniature module home on Mars, where he'll be living for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
Much
War of the
like
Worlds,
a smashed Easter egg. We'll see how the Mars colony works out.
Yeah, and it's a story that has been iterated in so many different forms of media as well. War of the Worlds. So I think it's quite an interesting one. From everything to a radio serial to a Spielberg blockbuster to a 70s stoner rock album.
I have a question. Are we talking about the original movie?
Both.
Oh,
yeah, I just I think we could just
A little
probably
bit original,
dive into whatever we like about it.
mostly new one.
oh, fuck no! I'm not showing up for that. Are you serious? Are we talking mostly about Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds? Oh,
I think we can just talk about War of the Worlds. It's the same story, isn't it?
yeah, I know.
Just told through all.
All
forms
right,
of
Fred, let's
different
talk
media.
about the original radio show.
I don't know
Orson
much.
Welles?
It's not. I've watched the original War of the Worlds movies so many times, but
Yep.
if I went, I mean, Tom Cruise's version of War of the Worlds is all right, but I don't rewatch it because it just doesn't capture me.
Nobody
serious?
runs from Martians like Tom Cruise, mate.
Oh God, it's going to be painful. I might be sick that weekend. Okay, all right. Good to know.
That's right.
Thanks for warning me.
My interest is the 70s rock album.
Hey, hello in there. We're friends, Fred. We're friends.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on the toilet, and I will be there for 2 hours. 3 maybe. Anyway,
All right. Thanks, everyone. That is good night from me.
It's good right from them.
and it's good night from 4 children who will probably never be seen again in a Star Wars
In a
TV
galaxy,
series or movie.
a galaxy far, far, far away.
Yeah, they're not in Fred's basement. That sounded really creepy.
That sounded a bit creepy.
Subscribe to the podcast if you want to see these kids again.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone.